course, look back on things that aren't so happy, but I think the dominant story that people will tell is that 2018 was the year when our civic society in America woke up and took back our democratic life. And I feel really, really strongly that if we can keep this up through all of the organizations, the civic groups that arose in the last couple of years, electing good people to office and then holding them accountable, as I expect you will hold me accountable in the next 2 years. And if we keep that up beyond 2020, beyond the day when individual number one will occupy our thoughts, dreams, every single day, we're not only going to win some political battles, but we are going to be a better, stronger, more decent country than we were before all of this happened. That's my hope, and that's what I'm going to be working towards in the next couple of years. Now, I've been up there a little bit already, or down there. We had a couple of weeks of orientation in Washington, D.C., where we learned how to organize an office and how to build a staff, and I got to meet all of the other freshman Congress boys and girls. And we went up to Kennedy School, up at Harvard, and had a really interesting set of discussions about policy issues, things that in a campaign you don't always have time to delve into really, really closely. It was particularly good because we had a chance. It's mostly Democrats in the freshman class, but I got a chance to meet some of the new Republican members as well. And obviously we don't agree on everything, and that's totally fine, but I found, and I've always found this in my career, when you get away from the spotlight and the pressures of politics, people are people, they're all there to serve, they all love this country, and already we found common ground just in the personal conversations that we were having. I already started selling a couple of my new GOP friends in the freshman class on some bills that I want them to co-sponsor that I know we have common ground on. And I think we're off to a very, very good start there. January 3rd, as I mentioned, I'm sworn in. And I think we've obviously got a very big challenge because things are a little bit crazy in Washington right now, and we know what's coming sometime later next year. We have to be very serious and realistic about this. There may very well be a confrontation between the president and the special counsel, and that's going to be a tough moment for the country. We have a narrow window before that happens, or as that happens, to come together around some positive ideas that actually can get passed in the United States Congress. And so I believe our first duty is to try to get something done where something can get done in divided government. I think there's potential for progress in a couple of areas. Number one, healthcare. This was the big issue in this congressional race and so many around the country. We all saw what happened yesterday, the decision by this judge in Texas to strike down as unconstitutional the Affordable Care Act. I don't think that's going to stand, by the way. I think it was a crazy decision, and even a lot of conservative legal experts I've been reading the last 24 hours say that's not going to stand at the end of the day. But it does remind us that this Affordable Care Act, the system, as imperfect as it is really still under attack, and we've got to shore it up. You'll recall last year, after the ACA repeal effort failed in the Congress, there were responsible Republicans and Democrats, particularly in the Senate, who got together to say, all right, that didn't work, we got to do something to shore up the system that we have. This is the system we have, we got to make it work for people. I think we can get back to doing that in the first few months of next year. I hope so, because there was a majority even in the last Congress for doing it. If only the leadership would allow legislation to move forward, and we will now have leadership in the House that will allow it. Paying those subsidies, reaffirming protection for pre-existing conditions. Helping out states like New Jersey that are leading the way in trying to keep insurance rates down. And you know that the reforms that we passed in New Jersey in the last year, including restoring the individual mandate, premiums have already gone down quite a bit in the last year for us. So I'm hopeful, no guarantees, I want to be realistic, but I'm hopeful that that's possible. Another issue, kind of important to us, infrastructure. When I was out there campaigning, I can't tell you how many people walked up to me to say, you know, Tom, I'm voting for you, may not agree with you on everything, may not even belong to your political party, just fix the damn trains. So I guess I gotta fix the damn trains. I can tell you I've already met with the Secretary of Transportation, Elaine Chao. We had an interesting conversation about Gateway. I let her know there's a new sheriff in town in the House of Representatives. I met with New Jersey Transit, with the leadership there, to talk about what I can do to help them get the resources they need to complete that project, and some of the things I'm going to expect of them. They're happy I'm going to Congress and a little nervous. Yeah. Reardon Valley Line, number one. I believe we have a good shot, again, no guarantee, but a good shot to get an infrastructure bill through the Congress this year, or at least a transportation bill on which we can legislate some things pertaining to Gateway. And that's going to be, in terms of things that really affect us here in New Jersey, that's going to be my number one legislative priority in 2019. Where else can we find common ground? Going from the local to the global. We've seen just in the last few days on foreign policy, Republicans and Democrats coming together in the United States Senate on Saudi Arabia passing a bill to stop our involvement in the war in Yemen. And a resolution which passed. Does anyone know the vote total? The resolution that established the sense of the Congress of the United States that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is guilty of the crime of killing that journalist. What was the vote total? 100-0, unanimous. Wow. And that's Republicans and Democrats coming together to say that you may get a license to kill from Mr. Trump, but that's not necessarily a license to kill from the United States of America. And, you know, I've got a little experience in those issues, so I'm going to be trying to build on that common ground when I get there. So that's some of the issues where I think we have a chance to try to pursue pragmatic legislation. There are a whole bunch of others. We've got to deal with taxes and the SALT deduction, where I got a pledge from likely future Speaker Nancy Pelosi that she's going to help me try to address that. And a lot of other things that I hope we can put into that common ground category. There's another category that I think is really important for us to consider, and that's more ambitious ideas and goals, where if we're realistic, we understand we're probably not going to pass laws in the next 2 years, given who's controlling the U.S. Senate and who's in the White House. But my attitude, and we debated this a lot in the campaign, is that just because you can't pass something this year, just because the political winds may be against you, doesn't mean that you drop it, doesn't mean that you don't make an effort. Because big things take a long time to do in a democracy. We may as well get started now, even if we may not think we can succeed right away. What are some of those? Back to the health care issue. I want to shore up the Affordable Care Act. I know that's not enough. I know it's not enough when the average American is paying twice as much for health care than the average person in a typical industrialized, wealthy country everywhere else in the world. That's not sustainable. It's not only bad healthcare policy, it's bankrupting this country. It's the reason for our deficit. It's the reason why we can't afford to do a lot of other things that are important for America, like infrastructure. So we've got to do something bigger in healthcare that's going to address that problem. On the environment, we know we only have a little time left to address You can talk about it as a moral issue, you can talk about it as a health and safety issue, you can talk about it 100% as an economic issue, because our economy is going to go down the tubes if we don't address this. Conversely, if we get it right, we can build our economic future and prosperity on clean energy. So we have to try to get it right, but we know that we're not going to pass a transformational bill on climate in the next 2 years. So what do we do on those kinds of issues? My view is we get started by doing something that we're also committed to as Democrats in the House of Representatives. And it's something that's not sexy, it doesn't sound inspiring. It's called regular order. You've heard that phrase. What that means is we tackle big issues, we do it the right way. We hold hearings, we talk to the experts, we ask, how much are things going to cost? We put together, we develop plans that can work for the future based on facts. It takes time. So let's use this time to do that. We're probably going to have this select committee on climate change. I think it's a good idea. Because that's a vehicle that we can use. That's a mechanism we can use to prepare the ground for the changes that we're going to have to make, and to make sure that we're doing it responsibly. That we're not doing it like the current Republican Congress, which basically approached big issues like this. We know what we need to do. We know we're right. We're going to do it in 2 weeks and to help with everything else. Like that's what they did with the tax bill, right? And they tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act. So on those big transformational issues, we've got a chance, I think, to develop, to prepare the ground for candidates running in 2020 who can go to the American people with something that will work, with something that makes sense, that we can stand behind. That's what I think we can do in the next 2 years. We can do the things that will respond immediately to the needs of folks in our district and across the country. We can prepare the ground for the future. We can do it with regular order. We can do it responsibly. And we can do it, I still believe, in a way that finds common ground, because we know our country's too divided right now. And one of my operating principles is everything that I do, whether it's passing an infrastructure bill or doing oversight and holding this president accountable and defending democracy and the rule of law, I want to find a way to do it that's unified. I want to find a way to do it that's going to bring people together rather than driving people apart. I don't think it is moral or just or courageous to do the right thing ineffectively, especially when you're in an office of responsibility, by only preaching to one side, which is so easy to do, right? We have to find a way to attack these issues that brings people together in this country. Not everyone, because that's not possible, but enough to build a working majority for a country that's more just, more decent, more truthful, more in line with what we have always been proud of in America. So, with that, I look forward to hearing your thoughts and suggestions and questions, and I'll do my best to answer them as well as I can. Thank you very much.